Ra entered his room and moved quickly. He'd traveled straight from Terra Academy's grounds to Crimson Academy in a lightning-fast whirlwind of smoke and fire. Desperate to leave as soon as possible, the elementalist sent word with a fire imp to the headmaster and headmistress to expect him in a few moments. He made quick work of changing into his fighting clothes. Unlike most of his other classmates, Ra didn't train in typical military-style clothing. Instead, he wore clothing marked after the royal warriors of his Egyptian ancestors. On his chest, he donned thick leather straps that crisscrossed him, protecting both his back and front. The bracers of his ancestors might have been made from bronze or copper, but Ra's were leather interwoven with a nearly indestructible modern metal alloy. Instead of pants, he wore a wrap of the same leather and metal construction that hung to his lower thigh. It bore slits every 3 inches that ran up to the waist, allowing free movement of each of his legs. Instead of leather sandals on his feet, he wore boots that perfectly fit his feet and wrapped protectively up his calf to the top of his knee. Once dressed, Ra slipped a quiver of arrows over his shoulder. He buckled the belt holding his short sword around his waist and adjusted the blade to rest on his right side. Finally, he buckled on the sheath that held his dagger to his left thigh. The slits in his wrap made it easy to get the dagger should he need it. He slipped a necklace on that bore his royal name. A cartouche, it was called in modern day. To him and his people, it was a way to add protection. Noticing his phone lying on his desk, he remembered that his friends from the other academies had wanted to see him off. He imagined they may not have realized he wasn't going to sleep that night. Yet he'd been unable to rest for a moment since the enchanting green-eyed girl had been flung from the grounds of Terra Academy through a portal to the underworld. Now, Ra felt an urgency he didn't understand, but he knew he would not be able to wait until morning to journey after Terra's friend. So he texted Elias to let him know he was leaving and not to worry about seeing him off. That done, Ra walked to the door, picked up his bow and shield, and headed out. Ra jogged through the corridors of the academy until he reached the large doors leading to the offices of Headmaster Jeremiah and his mate, Headmistress Talia. Ra knocked and waited. His mind kept picturing the blonde female that the acolyte Tucker had handled so roughly. Ra's jaw clenched as he remembered how she'd been carelessly thrown through the portal, like a bag of garbage into a dumpster. At that point, something inside of him had snapped. He'd wanted nothing more than to drive his blade through Tucker's chest and watch the life drain from his eyes. Apparently, Ra's rage had been even greater than he'd realized because he'd ended up beheading the man. The door in front of Ra opened, revealing Professor Bernhardt. The man taught several subjects related to human warfare, including the use of martial weapons. "Ra," the professor said with a slight bow of his head. Professor Bernhardt was old, very old, and he understood Ra's ancestry.